We are live on a Wednesday, LinkedIn Live. I see Bill Oakley down below. Please raise your hand. Join us on stage. Nick, if you want to join us, please come on up. Glenn, please come on up. There's a raise your hand button. James, thank you for recording. We appreciate it. This is the LinkedIn Live Rising Tides call. This is a chance for open mic for you, the listener. If you're listening on the digital hospitality feed, we appreciate it. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever in the world you are, we want you to join our live calls. We have some really cool things that we're going to be trying in December that I'll make an announcement once we get more people into the room. But we want to reach more people. We believe in storytelling on all platforms. We believe that every business owner is also a creator. We're going to be talking about brand deals today, how influencers, we believe that everyone has influence, no matter how many followers they have. How do you get attention of brands? How do you get partnerships with companies that you like to work with, that you like to feature in your storytelling? We've got a great guest as well, Bill Oakley, who we met in person for the first time at the Chicago Restaurant Show, but very excited about today's call. Please raise your hand. Mercedes, we see you. We'll bring you up. And if you're new, welcome. Thank you for being here. We're going to go around the room real quick. Introduce ourselves, take 60 seconds. Who are you? What do you believe? And where in the world are you? Stover, go ahead.
Hey, I just walked in the room, got off the phone with my son's dentist. I've been on hold for an hour. So that was really fun. But I'm happy to be here. I see some good faces in the crowd. For people who are new to the room, we used to have these as our team meetings. So we used to just do business in public. So this is kind of an extension of that. My name is Stover. I'm a producer with Cali BBQ Media. I have a long history in journalism and storytelling. But, that didn't really go anywhere because print was dying. And I knew I needed a bunch of new skills to get by. So I taught myself podcasting. I taught myself video. I taught myself a lot of multimedia stuff that they just weren't investing in at my time at newspapers. Along the way, I met Sean, and we really hit it off as people first. But then we teamed up and decided to start a media company, literally out of the back of his barbecue restaurant. And here we are many, many years later, and it's a dream come true. And I'm very happy to be here. And thanks to Bill for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Stover. Mike, the mic is yours. Go for it.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, Mike Biseglia, producer with Cali BBQ Media. I am in Middletown, New Jersey, about an hour south of New York City. Right now working on some great content with the digital hospitality shows on the Cali BBQ network. Mike Fishman working on his episode right now. Really, really cool interview. So he gets kind of the details behind the scenes of some wine stuff, which has been really cool and fascinating. And I just believe in just keep going, keep doing work, and hit and record. So
awesome. Thanks, Mike. Elizabeth Doss, Mike is yours. Go for it.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Elizabeth Doss, Izzy Inc. on most social platforms. And my main area is in animated GIFs. I'm a verified artist with Giphy. My GIFs have been viewed over 5 billion times. And I help brands and businesses leverage the 10 billion GIFs that are being served to 1 billion users daily through Giphy on most social platforms. So whenever you are searching for a GIF to DM or to comment with, we can harvest a little piece of that real estate for you and your business to be able to connect with your community and bridge that gap in the engagement side of social media. And I'm excited about today's conversation. I love talking all things influencer and how to get noticed. So I will hand things back to you, Sean.
Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. Bill Oakley, our special guest. Bill, can you unmute and let everyone know?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Who are you? What do you believe? And where in the world are you?
Okay. My name is Bill Oakley. I'm best known for being a comedy writer. For many years, I was a writer and then a head writer and showrunner of The Simpsons with my partner, Josh Weinstein. Since then, I've worked on dozens of other projects, including Portlandia, Futurama, my own show, Mission Hill. And I sort of just kind of by accident got into the social media food scene about 5 years ago because I love to talk about food and I love to express my opinion about food and learn about new food. So since then, my social media has kind of taken off and it's become kind of a second career for me. As far as what I believe that almost all traditional media is completely collapsed or is in a state of imminent collapse. and that media, social media, and similar things are the way forward for most people and many brands.
Amazing. And where are you, Bill?
I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Beautiful. Well, very excited to get into your story once we get through introductions.
Hey,
Yeah,
Sean.
what's up?
Bill was scared to join. Bill was scared to join the room because he didn't think he had anything to talk about with capturing brand
Bullshit.
attention. And I had to remind him he got
Yeah, well, we'll share the McDonald story and multiple other stories, but I can't wait to release this episode. I mean, the fact that we recorded it, I don't know what month that was. It seems like
May.
10 years ago, but I've been really excited because most of my interviews I do sitting down, and Bill, because Bill's so active and creating content at all these different vendor booths at the National Restaurant Show, we decided to do a walk and talk. So it's a completely different style of restaurant influencer interview. I'm really excited to share that next week. So thanks for being here, Bill. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that thing too.
Yeah, you got it. Steven Swiderski, Cali Barbecue, go for it. Steven, are you with us? You're on stage at the Navy base. There he is. Go for it.
Good morning, everyone. Steven Swiderski here, Cali Barbecue, Digital Hospitality Specialist, Catering Events Manager. I am coming live from our Naval Base San Diego location, just getting ready to open up and take care of all the fine men and women that protect our country. What do I believe in? I believe hospitality is key, especially in our industries. So just trying to make hospitable moments with everyone that I interact with.
We appreciate you, Steven. Thank you so much. We're redeveloping our catering program. We were on a call with Steven and Eric and Howard and got some really cool things to help build our catering business for 2025. And Steven will be spearheading that. Mercedes, go for it. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Hey everybody, Mercedes coming at you from sunny San Diego. I am the Director of Sales and Events for the Wood Group and the VP of Education and Programs for HSMAI San Diego chapter. I am looking forward to today's call. I think what Gary Vee said the other day really sparked a lot for me, so looking forward to putting some input in here.
Amazing. Thank you for being here, Mercedes. We appreciate it. Richard Liverman from the other side of the pond. Richard, Mike is yours.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Richard. I have a mantra of don't be boring, which manifests itself through branding, coaching, and mentoring. I'm really looking forward to today's conversation. Having a bit of a crazy day today. Started with a new client, won a new client, writing proposals, but also want to shout out the mysterious James Doss, who lives in this room every day. I did a post on LinkedIn and Instagram today, all about the difference between how Carhartt is perceived in the UK and the USA. And just want to give a shout out to James, who was my muse. We were about 5 minutes from Scott's office, and I pointed out to him this designer clothes shop called Carhartt, and he's like, "No, wear that in the garage or whatever you call it, garage."
a car hole.
And
It's a car hole,
car hole.
Richard.
There you go, a car hole. And he was like, I use this in the workshop. And I'm like, no, you wear it for fashion. And I think what's really interesting about that was not just the cultural difference, but how we perceive our brand and how people use it can be different things. So thank you to James for being my muse. And I also have a second role as the cultural ambassador to the digital hospitality space. And, it's winter in the UK. And, what's the opposite of hot, Sean? With the weather, I know you don't normally get this in San Diego.
Cold.
We say it's brass monkeys out.
Brass monkeys out.
Brass monkeys. Brass.
Brass.
This is the bit that brass is what Scott would say because he's northern. Brass monkeys out, which means it's cold.
Brass monkeys out. And where did that come from?
England. I don't actually know, so I'm going to go with England.
Fair enough. I appreciate it, Richard. Thank you for always educating us Americans on proper English terms. Glenn, welcome to the stage. Thank you for being here. I invited Glenn. I'm so happy he showed up. Can you unmute and let everyone know who are you, what do you believe, what are you working on, and where in the world are you? Go for it.
Yeah, nice to meet you. I'm in NorCal, Sonoma County, and I am a chef and restaurateur, have been for the past 40 years. Currently, I do not own any more restaurants. I sold my last brand in 2019, knock on wood. And I have taken over the executive director position of a nonprofit that I helped found in 2012. I am taking it nationally. It's called Chefs Feeding Kids. And our mission is to feed, educate, train, and employ. And we do this through generous donations from a lot of manufacturers we've worked with a long time. But interesting that I met Sean at a Toast POS get together. And one of my biggest issues through my career has been that I've won a lot of culinary awards. Everything that I ever created, I've put into contest and things like that, which is fantastic. But the problem was I thought that because I won all these culinary awards, that people would come flocking into my restaurants. And what I didn't know anything about was marketing or promotion at that point. So I have been a speaker at Pizza Expo, the Bakery Expo. I've been speaking publicly for most of all my life. First in church, where I gained a lot of my speaking, I guess, acumen, if you'd say, or the lack of caring or being, embarrassed. I can talk about anything that I know. So anyway, Chefs Feeding Kids is something that we're growing. I've got a lot of support in the food industry. I've been very blessed to work with a lot of the top people in our industry, which is pizza and Italian food. And I'm looking forward to learning a lot more from all of you about the media and how important it is. One of the things I told Sean when we met was, I've got content, like crazy content, and I just don't know how to use it properly. So I'm looking forward to the conversation and learning from everybody a little bit and getting involved.
I'm so happy you joined us, Glenn. Thank you. I invite people all the time to the Rising Tides call. I love it when new voices come here on stage, because we actually learn probably more from you guys than you think you learned from us. We're trying to figure this whole thing out. You know, we call it smartphone storytelling, using the internet and understanding that, to your point, no one's coming to tell your story. So we better get good at audio, video, words, and images, using LinkedIn Live, using TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, podcasts, whatever it might be, to get our message out there. And, to today's topic, how do we get our message out there and partner with some of the brands that we know and love and use in our businesses? So really happy to have you here, Glenn. Thanks for being here. Eric Farrell, go for it. 60 seconds. Who are you? What do you believe? Where in the world are you? Go for it.
Hey guys, I'm Eric Farrell, ghostwriter, copywriter for the hospitality industry. You can find me at thewordkitchen.com. I'm calling in from just northeast of Indianapolis, and I believe today I have a sinus infection, a head cold, something. I'm like halfway here, so this is mostly going to be learning for me. I may have some things to add by the end of this, but I'm happy to sit back and listen and learn. This is going to be good.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. And we see you, Heather, Sarah, Phyllis, Aaron, Ryan, Nick, Summer, James. If you guys want to join us, please raise your hand. We would love to have your thoughts and ideas and experience up here on stage. Doug Higgins, go for it, my friend. Thanks for being here.
Of course. Well, I am in San Diego on my way out to Joshua Tree. I wear two primary hats in life these days. One of them, I have a geospatial company that does as-built drawings for any space on Earth, and the other one is a cabin company. We design, manufacture, and sell camping cabins, and we have an opening in Joshua Tree tomorrow. And so I'm on my way out to set that up and say hello to a lot of old and new friends.
That's awesome, Doug. Congratulations on the opening. I know how long you've been working on that project. It's a big deal. Capture content. You know what I'm going to tell you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, get video. Sarah, welcome to the stage. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the community. Happy to see you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Sarah. I'm a consultant for B2B businesses in food tech, AI, a little bit of climate tech, and I essentially run a growth engine with founders, which includes personal brand and content strategy, and part of the customer acquisition strategy is always really focused on LinkedIn, especially for the B2B founder. So I do that and then work with them on other phases of growth for their product, and a lot of network effect and growth loops at the end of that. But it all really starts with that content and founder-led brand.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Really excited to have your thoughts on today's topic.
Excited about the topic.
So first, I'm going to make an announcement. The first Monday in December, we are going to be testing live streaming. So we've done all different types of live streaming from TikTok, from YouTube, from Facebook, from Instagram personally, but we haven't done it as a show. And now that we're building out our Cali Barbecue Media team, we are switching our digital hospitality recordings and our restaurant influencers recordings to Riverside. So it's another platform like StreamYard that allows you to stream to multiple platforms. But one thing we want to test is what would this room look like if we were testing it on multiple platforms, so we could get more people, more voices up here on stage, possibly somebody on Twitter or X or somebody on LinkedIn Live. So we were going to test that, and we would love for you, everyone that's here in this room, to join us in that journey. It's not that we don't believe in webinars. I just don't think that webinars are positioned properly for repurposing. A lot of companies in the restaurant space, tech space, I mean, all B2B space that host webinars, they do it for a reason, to have an engaged conversation, but typically that conversation dies. So we want to kind of figure out what does a modern webinar look like. I know Marissa Cali, who comes into these calls, she has a lot of experience in that. Phyllis, I know down below, Heather Cox, who I think she was here, she jumped out of the room. But we're excited to test it. We need your help to test it. So we will send out an invite. We'll post in our LinkedIn chat and our Instagram chat when we host that room. But that'll be a Monday, first Monday in December at 10 a.m. So anything I missed, Stover or Mike?
No, but we're always testing. It's never done. And we're never stopping. There's always going to be new platforms, new places to go. And I can tell you from the tests we've done on Riverside, it looks tremendous. Like just the quality itself. Plus, there's like a bunch of producer stuff we can do in the back. So we're all really excited to dig in and test it out with all of you.
Yep. Well, we need you guys to help us figure it out, and we'll see how it goes. So that'll be on Monday. We'll send out more information of when that event will be. But we want you to be a part of that first live digital hospitality show across multiple platforms. So let's start with how influencers capture brand attention. I didn't even realize how we didn't simplify the language in that title. There is a lot to unpack, and what is an influencer? What is capture? And what is brand and what is attention? I mean, each one of those could be a separate topic in and of itself. But let's go with our special guest, Bill Oakley. First of all, Bill, do you consider yourself now an influencer?
Yes, I guess the term is a little fraught at these days, but yes, I do consider myself an influencer, and I now that we've ramped into this, I do realize I have a lot more to say about it than I thought. So I'm going to unload on you guys.
Please.
Well, there's a lot of different. Here's the thing, as you said, Sean, there's a lot of different categories here. There's an enormous number of different categories because capturing the attention of McDonald's is radically different than capturing the attention of your local hot sauce maker, right? But I would say, for your local hot sauce maker, it's a big deal. Like, this is the thing that I can't believe. I can't believe that any small brand of any type of food thing does not have social media. Now, unless you are like on a boardwalk, whether you're going to get 100,000 customers a day just because of your location, I think and I know, Sean, this is something you've been preaching for a long time. It's critical that you have social media. And it's critical that you have it in several different channels. But let me give you an example. If you're a hot sauce, people go to the supermarket, and there's even at the kind of a small supermarket, there's 50 brands of hot sauce, and at Whole Foods, maybe there's like 150. How could that possibly stand out? That it's not going to take out. They're not going to take out an ad in a magazine. They're not going to put an ad on an NFL game. They need social media. I would say is probably one of the best channels for getting known, and it's so simple. But yet, a huge percentage of hot sauces, small food brands, don't do it at all.
Absolutely. Are you still there, Bill?
Yeah.
Oh, keep
Yeah.
going.
He was
Anybody
pausing.
where
He was pausing for a response.
The dramatic pause got me going.
I wanted you to.
Mic
I was
drop.
expecting you to react.
Threw
Sean,
me off.
okay,
That was
so
intense.
Sean has explained this before, Bill. He loves dramatic pauses when he interviews.
I'm a huge dramatic pause.
I once saw him
Okay.
on a video I was editing of Sean made a woman sit for 10 seconds while he stared at her, and she was like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "It's a dramatic pause."
No, because in their mission statement of the restaurant, it was intentional pause, like intentionality in pausing. And so I intentionally paused for her, and it was awkward, which I don't know. I
okay.
probably
Well,
shouldn't do
if I
that.
pause, if you hear a pause from me for more than 2 seconds, I'm waiting for you to jump in.
Okay, you got it.
So please feel free to do that. Okay. So I can't express this enough, and this is the thing that it boggles the mind as to. I mean, I assume that people. Let's just use a local hot sauce maker as an example. That they just don't know that they're not aware of how important that might be. And maybe it's not going to save your struggling business, but maybe it will. Like, I think the thing about it is, in most cases for extremely small brands like that, the people will just put it on their Instagram or wherever for free. And that's an ad that's going to be seen by whatever, 5,000, 10,000 people for nothing. And I'm shocked that more brands don't take advantage of that. This also holds true for restaurants. And I know for restaurants, it's a bigger deal. Some restaurants don't want to seem cheesy. They don't want to seem like they're trying to cater to the TikTok crowd or whatever. But I would say for a large majority of them, especially in terms of local stuff, there's so many every city has whatever, 10, 50, 100, 1,000 local food influencers. And contacting them is as simple as sending them a DM in most cases. And then, they come, generally, most of them will come to your restaurant and you give them a free meal and they'll post about it. Sometimes they'll even make a reel or whatever for virtually nothing. And it's so much like and maybe in 1960, you might have put an ad in the local newspaper. But those days are long gone, and long gone. And I really think that like social media is the best avenue for advertising, other than word of mouth, which is essentially social media is word of mouth for small food brands and restaurant brands. Now, it's a whole different ball game for the big brands, which is what I was originally thinking this is what we're going to talk about. And I'm going to take a pause here, and Sean, and let you jump in.
I would love, Bill, for you to share with this community. I know we talked about it in the interview that we're going to publish on Tuesday on Restaurant Influencers, but just share your Instagram story, your McDonald's story.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't do this.
Because we believe in smartphone storytelling. Obviously, capture is a big word, but I mean, so much of what we do in real life as humans, in our careers, in our businesses, is doing the things that we love. And the creator economy is really the capture economy. If you're willing to learn how to use that device in your pocket, that iPhone or smartphone, you can start to tell a story. And I love your video story of like learning how to use Instagram and learning how to do reels. If you could share that with us.
Absolutely. This thing it all started in 2018, 6 years ago. I have been a food enthusiast my entire life. And it's possibly because I was deprived of fast food when I was a kid, when McDonald's was advertising to kids all day long on TV, and I never got to go there because we live 60 miles away from the nearest one. So it's always been an obsession of my fast food in particular, but also all sorts of food. I'm agnostic in terms of I also go to fancy restaurants. I like fancy imported mustards and stuff like that, but I also like fast food and packaged food, frozen pizzas, whatever. So I've always been opining about this to people, to friends, family, on Twitter. I started doing it. I was doing it all the time when I'd be like, oh my God, these new Pringles are amazing or whatever. And in 2018, McDonald's decided they were going to start serving fresh rather than frozen quarter pounders. I wanted to be the first one to try them. So I went to the McDonald's at 10:30 in the morning on the day they released them, and I got one, and I decided, you know what, instead of just tweeting about it in text, I'm going to make a short video. So I made a short video. I didn't know how to do it at all. I knew the phone could do it, but it took me all day. Took me honestly about 6 hours to piece together 3 different shots of this video I made. And I posted it on my Instagram where I had like 98 followers at the time. But I also put it on my Twitter, and I tagged McDonald's in it, and McDonald's social media responded. And like, this is like, I think there's a screenshot of this in my restaurant influencers episode, but like, they were like, McDonald's social media responded to my tweet with, "Hey, congratulations on your new career as a food blogger." And I was like, "Hey, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that. I'm going to become a food blogger," just because McDonald's responded to me. And it made me, if they hadn't responded, and if nobody had responded, I probably would have never done it again. But they did. And also the head chef of McDonald's at the time, Mike Harris, who I've since become good friends with, also responded. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing this all the time. And basically since then, I've been doing it once, twice a week on my Instagram. And it's not always fast food. Often it's things like, as I said, frozen pizzas. It's interesting chips. People mail me stuff from all over the world, and I sample it, and I put it on my Instagram story, or I make a video about it. And thus, that's the interaction I've had with McDonald's. Now, this is the thing I know about bigger brands. Having worked in TV for all this time, I worked on a show that was at perhaps the most major streaming service. And they had a Twitter for the show that had they farmed it out to another company. Like, this is the thing that I wonder about so much with these big brands. Like, is anyone at the company actually involved with this, or is it just being done by a social media company they hired, and nobody at the brand is ever going to see this? This is what I think is the case. McDonald's, I'm pretty sure, has its own built-in social media team, but I know that a lot of other brands, especially that streaming service was talking about, they hire somebody to manage their Twitter, their Instagram, and nobody at the place ever sees it, and that's extremely annoying to me, as a person who, like, for instance, might tag Arby's in a video, and no one involved with Arby's will ever see it. Maybe some person who works at a social media company will see it and respond, or send me one of several pre-programmed responses. But so with bigger brands, and this is one of the things I thought we were going to talk about, but I'm glad, because bigger brands are a black box to me in many ways. Smaller brands, I've actually worked with dozens, if not hundreds, of smaller brands who are more active, and it's extremely exciting when you communicate with the person who makes the hot sauce. That's part of the fun in my case. And going to the restaurant show, I was able to meet a lot of people who have food brands that I love, and hopefully that's going to result in a lot more collaboration between me and them.
So
That's the end of my paragraph.
You keep going. What I love about what we're talking about is, the thing that unlocked for us when we started going to the National Restaurant Show. I mean, we've been running restaurants for 13 years before my first time getting to Chicago. And there's 2,200, just at the last show, there were 2,200 vendors. So companies that are doing significant revenue, millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, in some cases, billions of dollars in the food service industry, providing a service, providing a product to restaurants, to the hospitality industry. So their goal is to get in front of the 70,000 attendees that go to the show. And it's a phenomenal show. But to your point about all of these brands, they've farmed out social media. Literally the most important thing for them to communicate their hot sauce or their mustard or their robot or their technology, whatever they can do, they've farmed that out to somebody else. And to your point, when I'm going and I'm looking, well, who can we do content with? We have incredible partners. You and I, we walk the floor of the Chicago show. And how many of them did you create content? I mean, how much content did you make when you were there? A lot.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, 70, 80 posts.
70, 80 posts. And of those 70, 80 posts, how many people actually acknowledged the post or reposted it? Like you
Oh,
it's
fair.
funny because
I don't know. Probably about maybe 20. I mean, it was the thing about, as I said, it's the smaller brands. Heinz Kraft does not need my attention, although maybe, but Zab's hot sauce does, and like I have a good relationship with them. I love their product. They send it to me periodically. I have one of their sweatshirts, and I'm an evangelist of it for literally nothing, the cost of the free sweatshirt. And that's whereas the bigger brands, they don't. I mean, it's very hard for me to figure out what's going on with big food service brands, such as Heinz, because they have their own teams or they farm it out to other people, and then it's like a black box in terms of what they're doing on social media. And the smaller brands, I guess, are the ones that probably could, use the help in many cases. It's very, I'd say that's the most rewarding thing. And that's why I'd say, like, if you are a small brand, a small restaurant, a small maker of hot sauce, coffee, whatever, I think that, like, it's probably one of the most valuable things you can do in terms of publicity and promotion is have an active social media. And active social media, I would say, probably early on Instagram, although other services, now such as Threads and Blue Sky would also be helpful. But when people post about your product, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it, and ideally don't respond with just a like, but say, hey, thanks, we appreciate you, or something like that. The building, like, and then you get more free publicity for nothing. This is the thing that, like, it's such an incredible way to generate free publicity for your food brand or your restaurant or whatever, and it costs very little. And I think that, like, it's being neglected by a giant swath of restaurants and smaller food brands.
So I have Phyllis is down below. One of the things when we first started doing social media content, one of the sayings that we would say internally when I would go to local restaurant like a Taste of La Mesa or a Taste of San Diego, Cali Barbecue would be one of 30 local restaurants, and we would be one of the maybe 10% that was active on social. So one of the things we would always say is if we can't tag you, we can't pimp you. And that was the truth. Like, if you do not have a social media handle on Instagram or on Facebook or on Twitter, we can't promote you. Like, we can't promote the fact that we believe a rising tide lifts all ships. We are all going to this event and we believe in this event and we're giving back to this charity. Well, if we don't talk about it, if we don't let people know, our community know, our customers know that we're going to be there. But some of the deepest relationships that I have with other restaurant tours are people that are active on social. Like, they don't source out their social work to an agency. They themselves are actively responding, or they even have multiple accounts because they believe in, what we call smartphone storytelling that much, that it's that important for them to develop these deep relationships.
And it really, I mean, I can say, at least on a local level, it works great in most cases because, like, the Portland food, and I do a lot, I do a fair amount of local stuff. Most of my stuff is national, international, but I do a fair amount of local stuff. And the community in this city of food influencers is maybe 15 or 20 people, right? And we all know each other. And it works. Like, I've seen it happen where a place invites one of the, an influencer with 80,000 followers or whatever. The influencer makes a reel about the place, and the next day it's swamped, and it continues. And it doesn't. It's not so swamped. Like, it has it's amazing, and it probably costs them what, at the cost of a free meal, or maybe they collaborate. Maybe they paid the person $500, but it easily quadrupled, quintupled that in terms of the revenue, and then just their brand becoming well known. It's like that is extremely simple. And I'd say in many cases it works great. Now, it's not going to compensate if your restaurant is hard to get to, or the food is no good, or whatever. It's not going to help all that much. But if you have a good restaurant that is just not getting noticed, like, plugging yourself into this scene is so valuable.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Well, I'm going to open it up. We've got a bunch of people down below up on stage. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have a quick story, a lesson, or a question for Bill or for the team, go for it. So, Mike, kick us off. Go for it.
Yeah, thank you, Bill, for sharing. I'd just be curious how you've seen everything evolve in the last couple of years, especially with platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and how that's changed your approach as the social media scene is kind of, evolving in real time.
Well, one thing, and this is a pretty commonly accepted piece of wisdom, is that it's best. I used to put all my chips in Instagram, but they change the algorithm every so often, and it can really screw you. And so, for instance, I'm sure you guys, many of you are aware of this, but Instagram stories, up till about 10 months ago, Instagram stories was a big deal. And like I would post, most of my posts would be on Instagram stories. It would be like somebody would mail me a box of potato chips and I would put 20 photos of the various potato chips on my story, right? They changed the algorithm about 10 months ago for Instagram stories to uh, basically it's sort of the more stories you post, the more you get punished. And the only way to get a significant amount of viewership on Instagram stories is to post one, literally post one every 24 hours or every 25 hours. So that is, for lack of a better term, has pissed me off. So, because they're really trying. The problem with Instagram is they just TikTok is driving them crazy. All they want to do is compete with TikTok and make you make reels. And no matter what they do, they're trying to force you to make reels. Like, here, take these photos and make that into a reel. I don't want. I just want to post the fucking photos. I would say, but anyway, they. So,
I agree
in
with
answer
you,
to that question,
Bill. I agree with you. I'm sorry.
thank
I
you,
have.
thank you.
I couldn't agree more. Fucking egg. Let me just do what I want to do.
The so I to be it- so in answer to your question, I post on I post generally when I have a post, I have a video or a post I feel is going to be of some consequence. I put it on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, and Threads all at the same time, and YouTube Shorts. And that is
What's Blue Sky, Bill?
Blue Sky is the new Twitter. It's like about a year ago, it was invented as an alternative to Twitter.
Hmm.
And a lot of people have been migrating there over the past year or so. And I mean, of all of those platforms, it is the least, it is the least exciting. But I think there's a lot of people who, the people who are there take it real seriously, and they actually kind of like when you post on it. So I think it's definitely something that people should look at.
But it's a video first or
No,
text
it's
first?
basically like
Photo?
it's exactly like Twitter. It's exactly like Twitter was 4 years ago.
It's the
Um,
Twitter guy,
and
right? Jack Dorsey?
yes, right, yes. It's an alternative to Twitter that I think when Elon Musk took over Twitter and unlocked the idea that people could post anything they wanted of any type, people migrated to Blue Sky because it's far more moderated.
Got it. Nice.
Meanwhile,
Amazing.
Threads is like, we're over here.
Well, Sean is texting the team right now telling us to get on Blueski.
Am I?
I think Threads, I would say this about Threads. I like that it's linked to Instagram because I think Instagram really is the ultimate platform for food related stuff. Um, Although, for certain things, TikTok is, but in general, Instagram and Twitter are so integrated that I think it works well. I'd also say that what I've discovered from Threads is better at providing stuff I want to see. It has whatever algorithm they're using is works better than every other source because the stuff it's endlessly entertaining, and I could stay on there for a long time. On Threads.
That's great. Elizabeth, you have a story you want to share, a lesson for the group, or a question for Bill?
Yeah, sure. So I was thinking through some of the practical side of this. And, when we think about influencers, yes, there's the influencers that we're looking to be an influencer for that brand. But then there's also the influencers, as a brand looking for them. And so I was just thinking through a little bit, if you want to be seen by these bigger brands, with the product or the platform that you're offering, one is to do your research on what platforms they're actually on and to pay attention to the ones that aren't oversaturated so that you have more of an opportunity to be seen. So Threads, LinkedIn is probably a better place to kind of hang out. But one thing I wanted to recommend is starting to politely stalk these brands that you want to be noticed by. And one great way to do that is to turn on the notifications. I know, you're probably your phone, you're probably tired of that type of stuff, But if you really, really want to be involved with these brands, you need to turn on notifications so that you're one of the first to show up when they post or when something's going on. So on Instagram, if you go to any profile and hit the three dots at the top, you'll see a list of things, but one of them is notifications. So you can change those settings there. Here on LinkedIn, you can go to any business page or any personal page, and there's a little bell that shows up at the very top of the screen, and you can change those notification settings so you know when they post immediately. And I wanted to throw in here as well that so you could be the first one to comment, but be ready not to just do the like and the stuff, but to have a thoughtful comment or even have conversations in their comment section. When I go to business pages on LinkedIn, there's usually a little place underneath that says like 137 people work at this this location. And guess what, guys? You can click on that and start to go through the people that might be the most interesting for you to connect with on that side. Start to just click follow. Then if they start posting, start doing what you're supposed to do on social media, which is be social. And I wanted to throw out, you know, even on the practical side of if you are a business and you're looking for influencers, make sure that you're teaching your community how to tag you in things. I see this a lot on Instagram, that when people go to restaurants, they will tag the location of the restaurant, but that location is not necessarily linked to the account itself. So teaching your community to tag your account, and the places that you go to find that, again, is if you go to your Instagram feed, right above the feed, there are several icons, and one is a little person tag thing. And you can go in there and start to see who has tagged you in their content, as well as go to the search bar on Instagram and type in the name of your business, and then slide over on the tabs at the top to places or location. I forget how they name that. But then go in and look at all of the reels and the photos where people have tagged the brick and mortar store. You may find influencers there that you don't have because they didn't tag the account itself. And something that we've done with the restaurants that I've worked with is we reach out to them, ask for permission to reshare their content, and then maybe even work on brokering a deal with them because they're already a fan. And anyway, so those are just a couple of practical tips. Also, really quick, new feature on LinkedIn, if you've updated your app, if you hit the three dots at the top, you're going to see that it says now turn on captions beta. And so for those of you that are listening to this room live, and you need to turn the audio down, or maybe you're on a plane or something and you still want to hear kind of what's going on, if you'll hit the three dots, turn on the captions, you'll be able to read what's going on. Okay, back to you, Sean.
Incredible. Great information. Thank you, Elizabeth.
I have a quick question for Elizabeth.
Go
Do you think, Elizabeth, that if Bill Oakley had his own custom gifts, they would do really well?
I'm sure. And I'm just, I imagine all the Simpsons gifts, Bill needs his own, like of him disappearing into the bushes.
Yes.
Like Homer.
That's fantastic. I can't wait for the Bill Oakley gifts, that's for sure. Stover, anything you want to contribute? Lesson, a story?
I want to thank Greg Rempe of the Barbecue Central show for
shout
being
out.
Being in the audience. He rarely shows up when I text him about this room, but guess what? Bill Oakley shows up. Greg Rempe's here.
Oh, that's anyway. Greg Rempe, we love you. We miss you.
We talk about him all the time, whether he knows it or not.
I know we need more Greg Rempe in our life.
Yeah. And anyway, the secret to getting anyone's attention, and I was a reporter for a long time, and I have to say a damn good reporter, because I always got my story. And there was something about the tenacity I had as a reporter for getting that story and the relentlessness of reaching out to people. And if you really want to work with someone and you truly have something to offer, you have to be a little relentless. Because these days people are really busy, they're really distracted, and they're on these platforms that you're reaching out to, even email for just a few seconds sometimes. And everyone's so scatterbrained. So it doesn't hurt to go a little overboard and be annoying. I think Elizabeth was saying this. Like, I wouldn't have been friends with Sean if he wasn't somewhat annoying to me on Instagram. And I wouldn't be friends with.
I'm extremely annoying and
he was okay. He was a little annoying.
Extremely.
I was trying to interview some puppets in Austin, and here's Sean on Instagram talking to me.
You were on Instagram Live. I wanted to distract you.
I was annoying to Greg Rempe before I ever met him in person. on Instagram, and it got his attention. So whether it's a brand you want to work with or someone you just want to befriend or get to know, just say hi a couple times and give them a chance to respond. That's
Awesome. Yeah, you don't ask for permission. I definitely didn't ask for permission to make toast content. We told them, show them, don't tell them. Well, you can tell them, but then also show them. Jason Berkowitz, you got something to say?
Hello.
Mr. Rabbi Berkowitz, please.
Well, this is here's a quick little funny thing that happened connecting this to this conversation, but a little differently. My best buddy's friend that he grew up with is now overseeing head of marketing and basically PR over at Universal, and we were honored enough or excited enough to be invited to the Wicked premiere last week, which was awesome. So we're downtown. We've got amazing seats to this incredible movie coming out. And she came over and she said hi, and we had said, "Is that the red carpet?" Which they turned into a green carpet. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm so sorry, I can't get you on that." And then she stops and she looks and she goes, "Unless you're a content creator, are you a content creator? Because I can get all content creators on here right now." I was like, "That's sweet, you know."
That's the wrong question to ask you.
Well, what's the right question?
Is Jason a content creator? Of course,
I know.
obviously.
I know. And so, but it was
But
funny,
Jason,
Lars.
your answer is yes. Of course I am.
Well, right.
And you've got green credentials.
Yes. If they ask you if you're a god, you say yes, of course. The Ghostbusters. But Lars grabbed me. We were going, and no one wanted to walk the carpet. But here was the point. The point was in that moment is that by doing that, they were so hungry. Not hungry. I mean, it's an incredibly marketed film. But even at that point, always looking for somebody within your own community to grab, take that, and build that presence. That even in the morning, she's like, "I'll slot you in," even in that moment. And that just kind of, I think that supports the conversation today, going away from food, even that these brands are always looking for these sub communities that can create and help tell the story authentically. And that was really cool.
Wait, did you say yes or no?
No.
Why?
I said yes, but no one wanted to go on the carpet, and they pulled me away and said, "We're going inside." So we were going out to dinner, and it was not. No one cared for that. So that wasn't the part of this. I didn't care about that much. The whole point was how much they are looking for people to help tell their story, and that's what's supporting the point of today, which was pretty cool.
That's a great story. I love it. Troy Hooper, you got something to say?
Well, good morning, everybody. Unfortunately,
Sounds like you've been in Vegas. Why have you been yelling so much?
2 days. Yes, voice is gone. Been talking all day, every day. I apologize. Mike LaRue and I had a cute plan. We were sitting next to each other on the plane, and as we landed, we were supposed to jump in this room and say hi, but we chit-chatted all the way to the car, and then I forgot. So anyway, influencers. I'm 111,000% into influencers. Our new store opening marketing plan is extremely dependent on influencer participation and partnership. We've been gathering hyper-local, small micro-influencer food people for about 6 months on a spreadsheet and reaching out to them and asking them what their deal is. What's your program? How can we get you to come by a store and check out Pepper Lunch? And so we've been collecting that data and those contracts and those agreements and stuff for a number of months, so that when we get ready to go and open a store, and we have 5 stores opening in the next 4 months, we can activate them. And if they just come to the VIP party and they do content for free, or they get food, or we give them a gift card, or we pay them, it's going to be a mix of all those things, of course. But I truly believe that it's not the followers, it's the engagement. So we really look at what their engagement is, or how hyper local they are, or what kind of content they do, so we can get a nice mix. So I'm all in on influencers, TBD on results, but I can't imagine that authentically made, stories about my brand and my food and my experience are going to be a negative in any way, as long as they are, in any way neutral to positive. So I think it's worth a shot to to get to understand it and give it a try and test it like anything else.
Well, we appreciate you being here. If anybody, we're going to be releasing an episode soon about our influencer party, how to throw an influencer event at your restaurant. We just partnered with Wise Assistant. So anybody that's listening to this that owns restaurants or pretty much any brand, Wise Assistant has influencers across 50 different markets. We launched a campaign in 8 days, and they got 9 hyper local San Diego influencers. They were all phenomenal, and they were all people that Vince, who is our new chief content officer at Cali Barbecue, he has also been bringing influencers, and he had no idea who any of these influencers were, and they all did great content, all original. Troy, I don't know if I think you've talked to Michael, but you should definitely have another conversation, given how much growth Pepper Lunch is experiencing. Richard, Mike is yours, my friend.
Yeah, this is a great conversation. And I think there's something for restaurateurs just to have a look at. There is a website called socialblade.com, and we'll put it in the show notes. And what's really interesting with that is you can check how many followers influencers have on different social medias, not on LinkedIn, but it has it on Instagram, TikTok. They'll also give you the percentage of engagement. And what was really interesting, I worked with a client in the past, and it was quite obvious that the influencer had bought followers, and that was why engagement was low. So it's just a really great tool. It's absolutely free. You can get the paid one. It's called socialblade.com, and it's well worth having a look at because you need to work with the right people. And I actually have a question for Bill, which is, I just want to flip it around, Bill, because I think often we look at people can see influencers as a cost, and I hear what you were saying, and I think restaurants or clients that I've worked with in the past have got a specific idea of what they want influencers to do. So I kind of want to turn it round, and I think the question to you, Bill, is if somebody's going to work with an influencer, whether it be a restaurant or a brand, how can they make the most out of the opportunity? So how can they be a good partner to the influencer? What are your tips and advice, please?
Okay, well, one thing I can say for anyone reaching out to influencers is that this is a statement that crosses all lines. People like to feel like they're important, right? So if you, even if the influencer only has 900 followers, it's like, make it sound like you're really excited to work with them. Don't send a form letter, or put in a sentence at the top that says, "Love your recent post about so and so." I actually get 2 or 3 offers a day for stuff like this, because now that this has become AI generates a lot of these. I get 2 or 3 offers every day, and they're often completely inappropriate. Like, we would like you to help us market our brand of hip hop jewelry, or our luxury rental cars, or these are all ones I've really gotten, or our Kegel exercise machine. That's a new one that I just got. And so, like, but even those have a sentence at the top that say, "Hey Bill, we love your recent post about McDonald's Hula Burger. We think you'd be the ideal person to help us market our Kegel exercise machine." Okay, so, but that does help, because you know what? I read that one. I don't delete that one like I delete every other one. I'm like, hey, they looked at my content. I'm not right for this, but I do like that. So that's one thing that helps. Also, if you're dealing with a small community, be aware that these people all know each other. Oh, I know every food influencer in Portland. We all know each other. We all hang out together. And you know what? When there's an event and some people aren't invited, those people are pissed at that place. And because they're all, it's obviously it's a different thing if the person is a super mega influencer or whatever. But when it's like, when there's 14 influencers in town and you invite 12 of them, the other 2 are not happy about that, because everyone else is posting. There was an event last night, and everyone was there but you. So that's another thing, and it's happened to me too, and I know it's happened to other people. We all discuss it, and this is, Portland is not a small, it's not a small town, but it's a fairly big city. So it would be different, obviously, in New York or Atlanta. But I think in general, something that seems like it was written by a person, even if it's fake, is always helpful. And for each level of person, there's a different. What your real question is what do we have to give to this person? Sometimes it's just like, we'd love to host you for a free, you and a guest. The general thing is we'd love to host you and a guest for a free meal. We'd love to send you a sampling of our new hot sauce, and nobody's going to turn that down. And that's the general thing. Now, if you're asking for a bigger ask, like would you make a reel about our thing, then expect to pay money, because making a reel is time consuming. And I generally tell people that a reel starts for me at several $1,000s, and I don't do that many of them because I also don't want my followers. I don't want to I don't want to put a lot of commercials on my feed. But if I love the place and the money is right, I will do it. But in general, I don't do that. And my most common thing is, hey, would you come in for a free meal? And I post about it on my stories. Now, as I said earlier, stories aren't the most effective way to get the message out. But if I love it, I'll also post it on Twitter, where I have 66,000 followers, and 3 or 4,000 of them in this town. So that's okay. I think that's probably more than you wanted to know, but that's the answer.
No, that was fantastic. Richard, did he answer your question?
Yeah, thank you, Bill. I think it's one of those ones where sometimes people are afraid to ask. And I think they're afraid to ask. And it's the same when I worked for a creative design agency in the past, and people are afraid to ask the question, what do we need to get the best out of this relationship? And I think you being so honest about that has certainly made me think about, if there's other people, how can you make the most out of those opportunities? And sometimes we just forget to ask. So thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Brilliant. Greg Rempe, welcome to the stage. Greg, can you unmute and share who are you and anything you'd like to contribute to this conversation? We appreciate it.
I just have a question.
Your audio sounds fantastic, by the way.
Oh, good, because
The
it's like really close to
$10,000
my
mic,
face.
Greg rolls into LinkedIn Live with his $10,000 mic.
I'm on a phone.
Oh, an Android also.
Yes, Google phone.
The Google phone. Oh, here we go. Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to follow up with Bill, who mentioned that he doesn't want to do a lot of these or have his feed become a commercial. Why not? If you're going to make money at it, and we've had conversations on the show before about wanting to make some money, everybody's situation is different. So I guess A, why not? B, when or should people be concerned about looking like a shill if they have an opportunity to make thousands of dollars for producing multiple reels? I can do quick math, and it becomes quite a lucrative business.
That's a good question. I think that and it doesn't necessarily apply to every person. Some people are more about reporting things. Other people are more about critiquing them. And I think you have to, if you're seeking out influencers, you should make sure you know which one you're picking, because some people will just post about every new restaurant or every new thing they're given. And some people their whole point is they criticize stuff. And that's kind of that's my deal, for better or for worse. I think part of what I've been referred to as the Gordon Ramsay of fast food, because I guess I'd say I'm relentlessly critical, and I expect things to be top notch. So my particular feed is more critical, and so I won't post. I don't post about things that I don't love. But in fact, like today, I'm actually putting out a reel for nothing because of this because I love this new condiment that somebody sent me so much. And I hope that it results in a lot of increased sales for them. But in general, if I'm passionate about it, I want people to see that the stuff I post about, I'm passionate about. So that's the answer to that. But there's plenty of other people you can hire to post stuff without any criticism.
Just a reminder, follow other people up here on stage and down below. Jennifer, Nick, we see you, Ryan, Jason, Eric, Richard, LinkedIn. You can tap the button and hit follow. It's better to connect with them, but we will also share your Instagram handle if you want us to do that in our Instagram group chat. Greg Rempe, any other questions or anything else you can contribute to? You talk. How long have you been doing the Barbecue Central show?
2006.
How long have you been pitching sponsors, trying to get brand attention to sponsor your show?
2006.
Is there any lesson that you can distill in what you've learned reaching out to small companies that manufacture grills all the way up to the Home Depots and Lowe's that should be sponsoring Barbecue Central show?
Really, I would be echoing Elizabeth and Stover's advice, if you really want to do business with these people, I would say you have to go past being stalkerish. You have to be relentless, and it's never a no until they tell you no. And then technically it's 5 no's after that until it's really a no. It could be a yes. So if you believe that you're bringing value, you need to showcase that properly, and then continue to not take no for an answer if you believe that you're providing some kind of value and offering them a platform that maybe they don't even realize is of value to them. You have to make them see it.
That's awesome.
Well, Greg, I want to ask a question. This is a question for both Greg and Sean, and then in that regard, because I know, Sean, we've discussed this specifically. How do you know that you're contacting, that if you're stalking them online, that you are stalking someone who has the power to make any decisions about whether to advertise with you or not?
That's a simple answer. Eventually, you talk to that person and you ask them if they make the decision.
Okay.
It might be a little easier for me to do that because of what I do during the day. Usually asking for people's money is inherently uncomfortable for most creators, especially.
Greg is a brilliant salesman. If you haven't heard Greg's appearance on the digital hospitality episode, we talked about Barbecue Central Show, podcasting, digital storytelling, but we also talked about the sales process, and Greg shared some incredible insights into how to properly build a sales career. We're all selling.
Right.
My daughter was selling me this morning, and she's 5. She's really good at it. Let's see here. Glenn, would you like to ask a question, share a story? Thank you for being here, first-time caller. Glenn, are you still with us? If not, I will pass it over to Doug Higgins. Doug, are you with us? Is anybody with us? Can anybody hear me?
Greg put everyone to sleep.
No, I lost the whole room all of a sudden. Sarah, mic's yours. Go for it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say a couple things, like a couple new models I think are interesting when it comes to creators. One is this idea of becoming a creator and really like showcasing yourself on your own Instagram with your own interests. And then there's now these agencies that will place creators with a brand saying like, this creator is good, they do this stuff very well, and now they're your in-house creator on a contract. The other one you already mentioned, of course, is Michael Diego's Wise Assistant. And the idea of local influencers, the part of that that's really important to understand is when you see, for example, an amazing sandwich or a pistachio croissant or something like that on your Instagram feed, and you go to their Instagram and you're like, oh, they're in Japan. Like that is a far way for me to go from Miami. And so the idea of using these local influencers who by nature know people that are around them, that becomes really the important part in growing your community there, because you're hitting their communities, which are in that space. So another plug for Wise Assistant for Michael there. He's doing it really well.
Amazing. Thank you, Sarah. And Mercedes and Adam, we see you raising your hands. I've tried to bring you up. I'm sure Elizabeth and Stover have as well. Welcome to LinkedIn. Sometimes, I don't know, as much as Clubhouse has changed, LinkedIn has certainly not made it very easy on the discoverability or bringing people up on stage. There we go. Welcome. Dean LeBay, mic's yours. Go for it.
Oh, I'm just going to listen, Sean. It's good so far. I'm going to let some other people get in here.
All right. Appreciate you, Dean. Thank you. Doug, if you're able to unmute, mic is yours. Glenn, mic is yours. If not, Adam Foreman, welcome to the stage. Go for it. Adam, brought you up on stage. There we go.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, driving back from the office.
Well, you drive carefully. Go for it.
It's all right. It's all good. It's all good. I'm not touching my phone except for just that one little button. And I'm driving, so it's all good. So yeah, I posted something in the group chat. There's an awesome tool over here called Tags with the double T. And they basically they use some really clever machine learning. So if you want to do promos and you want people to sort of be your own influencers rather than actually using influencers, you can do like promos. So you have a QR code on the bar, and so you want to do a promo and you want to give someone a free drink. They basically record the video it goes through their platform, they check the video, and then they confirm that the product placement's there, and then they provide the customer like a benefit, either a free drink or a side or whatever, and so on. So that platform is pretty awesome. Over here we've got two platforms. One's called Jolly, and the other one is called Invited, Invited. I'm not sure if they're in the US as well, but they basically are two platforms where you can search for those specific influencers. They have built the relationship with those influencers and manage that for you and do all the booking and the processing and everything. So it's similar to probably what you mentioned earlier. But those platforms are amazing because you don't have to worry about finding those local influencers and continuously hunting them down to respond. It's all part of it. I will tell you a story though. There was a really very cool brunch place in Soho here, and the influencer decided to bring his best mate, who also happened to be an influencer. And it was he was being paid a small amount or a free. It was a free meal. I don't even remember what the conversion was. I think he got in for free, got a free meal, and so on. And his friend who was there, who was a more social influencer with a lot more followers, had the worst experience ever. So he put a post on saying he had a good experience. His friend, who he brought with him, gave the worst review of this place you've ever seen in your entire life, and it went viral. So one thing to think about as well is if your influencer's coming, don't let them bring their best mate influencers with, or obviously make sure that the experience is amazing. But that's the stuff over here. But the tags is an awesome tool just to use your locals as an influencer, and then give them the benefit.
Brilliant. Thank you, Adam. Let's see. So we have Friday, we're talking about digital schedules. So Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. London time. Join us on Friday to talk about digital scheduling. Jason and I did a video course with 7 shifts, which was pretty cool. But more importantly, for this digital hospitality community, we've never talked about schedules. So love to hear how you do it in your restaurant business, in your creator business, in your career, anything that you've learned. If it's not on the calendar, I probably won't show up. But let's go ahead, Tip.
And actually, to add to that real quickly, Sean, is not only the scheduling, but come with any story as far as what scheduling is a tool that, okay, I got into restaurants and loved management to work with people. Scheduling became a way, digital scheduling, to get me out of the office where I'm focusing on these puzzles that are draining me so that I can actually build relationships. So it's also a representation that we'll talk about of really something that frees you up to do things that give you energy. Bring those stories.
Mercedes, I'm sorry. I saw you down below and now you're back up on stage. LinkedIn's acting funny.
It's okay.
Please share.
Mute and be
Thank
like,
you.
I came in
Thank
and
you
out
for your
6 times.
Thank you for your
I know you
persistence.
forgot about me.
No, you're persistent. If there's anything anyone takes away, it's persistence always will win. Go for it.
Oh my gosh, persistence and consistency. So I wanted to just, I love this topic one too, because the Gary Vee video that we put into our chat a couple days really got me fired up and it had me thinking. Our venue Flamingo Deck went viral on TikTok, and that's how we really turned the leaf on, like, I mean, it was overnight and it was insane. And when I say we went viral, I mean, every phone call we got was, I saw you on TikTok. Every email we got was, I saw you on TikTok. I want to come in. And it wasn't us posting. We didn't have a TikTok. It was everybody else in the community posting for us. And it blew off. So what we're seeing is our newest venue, the Beverly, is having the same effect happen to them. And I think it's because of the generation that we attract to our venues. So in a team meeting yesterday, and I think this is something for all venues to start thinking about, I proposed us doing a giveaway, but instead of the old school traditional way of doing giveaways is tag 3 friends that you would come with to celebrate this item, this dinner for 4, this dinner for 6, whatever it may be, right? What we're going to do is the best post wins. So post a video of our venue, post a TikTok, post a reel, post photos, tag us, and come back and say that you've done it, and then put a link, and then have the one with the most likes on that comment is going to win the giveaway. So we're trying to essentially make it so that instead of tagging 3 friends and only getting seen by 3 friends on this one post, we want them to post for us and then have it where their friends have to come and like their comment on our post. So it's kind of like engineering what Gary Vee said. Like
Yeah.
Gary Vee made it, that's organically done, but how do you engineer it so people do it without the organic side of it? So that's what we're going to try to work into. I mean, right now we're just blowing up. It's insane. I mean, we had lines outdoor all weekend. So
What's the social handle so we can follow it and put it in the group chat?
the Beverly Beach Garden.
And that's the pink flamingo. That's where the patio deck
Flamingo
is.
Deck is I think it's Flamingo Deck PB and on TikTok. But the Beverly Beach Garden is blowing up. But now we're talking about we have a club avenue, and so we're re-strategizing our socials to go TikTok first, Instagram secondary. And the reason why is because I explained it to my boss like this. Instagram is really pay for play, and that's what it is. It's meta, and if you don't buy ads, you don't really get anything out of it, in my opinion. Where TikTok, you start on the For You page. On Instagram, you start on your friends, and all you'll ever see is your friends unless you go to the For You page. So there's more organic reach on TikTok. So we're trying to re-strategize our social media.
That's awesome. Are you guys in-house social? You don't.
We have a social girl, and then I help out. I help out with websites. I'm kind of like, it's funny. I told somebody the other day, we were at an opening, and they're like, wow, Mercedes, you kind of do a little bit of everything. And I said, yeah, I volunteer myself to do everything when people need help. So I end up putting my hand in every cookie jar. It's just my nature.
Well, we appreciate you being part of this community, showing up, doing the work, sharing the secrets. Let's go ahead and do takeaway homework assignment. Bill, do you have anything you'd like to close us out with? Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. Please watch his episode next week. Watch it because it will be on podcast. So it will be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I hope you guys are subscribed to Restaurant Influencers, but watch the actual YouTube video because Aaron and the team had to navigate the floor of the National Restaurant Association and show booth to booth, add B-roll into the episode. Bill,
Not just an interview, Sean.
Yes.
Bill visited Cali BBQ, the restaurant.
That's true. We got Bill from Comic-Con. He off of his keynote, he came over and graced us in Spring Valley. So yeah, we got some deep stories.
It's delicious.
Yeah, you got some wicked peach cobbler.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was incredible. Okay. Yes, I have one thing I want to say. This is very simple, but it keeps occurring to me over and over and over. If you are a restaurant with one location and you're dealing with local, if you want to and get local people to visit your restaurant, put the address of the restaurant on your profile. I can't stress this enough. Most restaurants, I'd say 80% of restaurants don't do that. They have a link to a website for the restaurant, and then you have to click About Us, and then scroll down to the bottom of the page to find the restaurant and the hours. It helps if you can put the hours too. But like that happens to me every time I have to click 4 things to find out where the restaurant is. I've lost interest in going there.
That's amazing. That's an amazing tip. I will talk to I'll talk to technology companies about that tip. That's fantastic. Practical, actionable advice. Thank you, Bill.
It's really actionable. Yes. Okay. That's it, really.
Sean, is peach cobbler a pudding?
Apparently, according to you, it's a pudding. Actually, let's ask Bill. Now we have an expert. Bill,
It's more like mashed up peach pie. That's how I would describe it to someone overseas. It's like you took a peach pie with delicious crust and mashed it up into a heap.
In The Simpsons, did they ever eat pudding?
It's a pudding.
Did they eat pudding?
Did any character ever eat pudding?
I think it's been on for 35 years. I'm sure at one point somebody ate pudding. I don't recall anything offhand though.
Okay, Richard says that after dinner you have pudding and not dessert. It's actually pudding.
That's the British way that they talk. Like they use the lorry and the lift and that things like that. I don't know how to explain it. And they call vegetables by the wrong thing too, like eggplant. They call They call it courgine or something like that.
Aubergine.
Yeah, aubergine. They call eggplant aubergine.
Because
Bill once famously got the entire continent of Australia mad at him, and now he's doing the same with Britain.
What did you do to Australia?
I'll start talking about
Sean, don't do that. It's at the end of the show. You're going to open that can? I'm joking.
No, they love it now. They hated it then. Josh and I, my partner and I, wrote an episode. We wrote an episode called Bart versus Australia. That was just a half an hour of hilarious Australian stereotype bashing, and it became very popular. It's one of people's favorite episodes. But in Australia, everyone was horrified by it, and except now, 35 or 30 years later, they love it. Like every time that there's an event, people are like calling it back. They have flags with our fake Australian flag on there that you see at events and stuff. So, it's become it's become part of Australian culture now.
That is fantastic. I love it. Mike, what's your tip, takeaway, homework assignment?
Yeah, just to be persistent. And I liked hearing, keep asking. You never know what happens. And I did appreciate the Ghostbusters reference. That made me have a good laugh.
Yeah, Ghostbusters is a great reference. Go for it, Stover.
Quick little story. I've taken up a lot of time because I'm super excited Bill has been here. And one of the reasons is, I've been a fan of his food stuff, but when I was a lot younger, I was 18. I had a hard time sleeping. I was very depressed getting into my adulthood. And these Simpsons DVDs I started buying when they were coming out were so cool and they were fun. But the things that I started, obsessively listening to were the commentaries. And this was before podcasts. And these commentaries helped me get to sleep because it was these great conversations about making a show and writing and culture. And to me, Bill and his writers and the other people who were on the staff on those commentaries, that's some of the earliest podcasting in my mind. So I just wanted to share that story. I've never been able to, but it meant a lot to me to listen to those at that time. And I just wanted to thank Bill for all the hard work.
Well, that's awesome, Stover. Thank you.
Takeaway, homework assignment.
We lost you there. Who's next?
You say my homework assignment is to listen to another commentary.
Berkowitz, tip, takeaway, homework assignment.
Just a shout out as well, Bill. Something cool. Mel Brooks, Johnny Knoxville, and The Simpsons are the three forms of entertainment that 4 generations of my family can quote and laugh together about. So from my great grandmother down to my nephews, all of us would quote references and jokes. So that's a pretty powerful thing to be a part of. And thank you for that.
That's
That's
fantastic.
awesome.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Elizabeth, go for it.
That's awesome. Mine's a practical tip. If you are creating an Instagram story, etc., and you forget to tag the brand that you're using in the thing or the influencer or whatever that you want to tag in it, or maybe one of your clients posts about you and they forgot to tag you in it, so you can't reshare it. If if you open up the story and hit the 3 dots, there's an add mentions button, so you can go back in and add anyone who you missed, whether you're using a product in the story, etc. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Back to you, Sean.
That is a great tip. Thank you. Richard, go for it.
Yeah, really, really enjoyable session. Bill, thank you for sharing your insights and thoughts. Really interesting to hear. They're my takeaways. My homework I've already done, which was to give Bill a follow. Thank you, everyone. See you on Friday. I'm off to have my pudding.
Brilliant. Thank you, Richard. Doug, are you with us? Good luck on your opening. If you're still driving, we hope you have an awesome grand opening. Go for it. Dean LeBay?
Thank you, Mr. Bill. Appreciate you coming. And takeaway, just be persistent and ask for permission after the fact. I've done that more than once. Ask forgiveness after the fact. Thanks.
Thank you, Dean. Adam Foreman?
I want a podcast with Richard and Sean with America versus US language and pudding and everything. Can we please try and arrange that so that everyone
That's
can see?
easy.
Because I think that would be awesome. That's my takeaway homework for you.
That's
King
easy.
Richard versus President Sean.
No problem. That's easy. Mercedes, go for it.
Takeaway is going to be don't invite the influencer's friend. They might write you a bad review.
There it is. Well, thank you, Bill. We appreciate it. And thank you to everybody that's listening. We will be back on Friday. And once again, Jason, you missed this, but the first Monday of December, I'm not sure what date that is, but at 10 a.m., we're going to try live streaming across multiple platforms. So we're going to try what this room would look like live streaming. So with video across YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all the places that we can get it, because we're going to be using Riverside. So we would love for anyone in this community to join us on that call. The topic will be live streaming for business. So Hopefully you guys can join us on that as we experiment storytelling with Riverside. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here. Bill, once again, we appreciate it. Can't wait to drop that episode next Tuesday. So thank you guys.
Awesome. Can't wait. My pleasure. Thanks.